First here, then there. Make up your mind already.
Death is close.
I love the dead.
Frequently, you have already lost.
Hello everyone and welcome to a little Fluffenhammer recording. This is going to be short and sweet. As you know, Saber Interactive have given us a little Space Marine gameplay overview update with a few goodies, some more info on what to expect, some game modes, some custodian options, and a few other little bits. And since there's a very good chance that some of the people from the community, the Fluffenhammer, are going to be streaming this lovely game when it comes out, I thought it'd be a good chance for us to do something small regarding this gameplay trailer and have a couple of the guys from the community talk about what they think about it, their hopes, their fears, and just some random other stuff that they've noticed with the trailer. My name's Adam88M. I am a person of no importance. I have more important people with me. First I have Big D. Hello, sir.
Hello.
And I also have our favourite Decade Andy Zombie, who is the main streamer, I think, from the Fluffenhammer, I would say. How are you?
Main streamer?
The main streamer?
Well,
wait, you are the most active of all of us on the old Twitch and the YouTubes.
I guess, but it doesn't, like, being the most active doesn't mean the most successful, I suppose. But I appreciate it.
But we don't, it doesn't matter about that. We don't measure it by success. We measure it by the quality of the experience and listening to you scream when you die on your stream.
Fair.
Yeah. That's what I do. I like to scream every now and again. I'll be screaming tonight, so that's fun.
If you've ever seen somebody accidentally tag one of their teammates who might happen to be called Jubal in the back, and then swear blind that he didn't do it 2 seconds later with complete honesty, you need to see an Andy stream. It's really good.
Well,
I'm a good and innocent boy.
I mean, it'll either be Andy doing to Jubal or me accidentally hitting him and Doge in the back with pistol fire in the Vermintide.
Don't worry, Daddy's been doing that. He's been playing the Dwarven Engineer, so he's just been rat-a-tat-tatting like crazy.
Yeah, he has been getting quite into the minigun, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, yeah, on what's it called? Veteran? No, Champion mode. He switches over to Ironbreaker when it comes to Legendary, because it's survivability is key and paramount on Legend difficulty. You haven't done Legend mode yet, have you? You don't have the number yet.
I really do need to try and do more of that without you guys, just so I can pump my level up.
Yeah, it's you go down real fast. Oh boy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting there slowly but surely. So
I'm going with this because this is a good example of exactly the sort of banter that we end up getting to. No, it is because you start off and you go, we're going to do this. We've got a video, and then suddenly, whoop, off we go. It's good.
Talking with the lads, isn't it? You know,
guys. Andy, you've obviously played Space Marine 1. What do you think about this? What do you think of not just the reveal, but like the build up to this game and the game in general? Because I know as well you're more cautious about like believing the hype and everything. You don't just jump into stuff, pre-order loads of shit. You tend to take your time and think about these things.
Yes, I'm old and jaded and full of hate. You're incorrect.
You're realistic, which is good.
That's the kind of way of saying it. But yeah, I was concerned because I remembered, I remember when they announced Dawn of War 3, and I was like, oh, Dawn of War 3, ooh! Yes. And then Dawn of War 3 came out, and it was like, oh, so someone decided they wanted to make a MOBA, but not really a MOBA. And Dawn of War 3 is not loved for a good reason. I mean, there's a whole video, there's a whole podcast on why Dawn of War 3 is a utter trash fire.
Yeah. And it's a shame, just Dawn of War 1 and 2 are both excellent in very different ways, but they're both
very different.
But they're both very fun.
Yeah. I always prefer Dawn of War 1, but I enjoyed 2 in a different way. But like, if you're like, Andy, what would you prefer? Do you want another Dawn of War 1 or 2? And I much prefer, building up a base, Warcraft 1 and 2, that kind of aspect, rather than the Company of Heroes aspect of Dawn of War 2.
That's perfectly fair. I mean, I'd probably go with...
Dawn of War 2 had the way better story.
yeah,
God.
and
Way better.
the mode, the different factions and Last Stand mode.
That was fun. That was fun.
Yeah.
They lost their way with Retribution, the last DLC, but then
Yes.
you can't point out a DLC and say mishaps without saying Soul Wars and going, oh,
Yeah.
Soul
I never
Wars
even
was
got
a
that to
mess.
work, I think.
Soul War.
Yeah, I think I've still got the box of it somewhere, but it just never, it decided that maybe it was my computer just had a quality control internal system. It just decided not to work.
It's this again. It's a shame because there are things in Soul Wars which are not a bad idea.
Yeah.
But they're like fundamental changes to. Did you play the previous version? What was it called? Soulstorm.
Yes.
No, not Soulstorm. Dark Crusade.
Yes.
That's the Necron
Yeah.
one, isn't it? Yeah.
That was the Necron one. So the good thing about Dark Crusade was as you went around the map and you completed areas, whatever you left in that area was there for the next time someone invaded. So you could build, by the end of the game, you might have a ginormous space in one location. Soulstorm, every time that map is reused, it's empty again. So no matter how big you build your base, they're just like, no, you'd have to start from scratch again, which doesn't make sense and is really annoying as well.
So Dawn of War 3 was unique because Dawn of War 3 was a game made by the people that made Dawn of War 1 and 2, but who also at the same time hated all the good stuff about Dawn of War 1 and 2.
Did they actually? Because I could believe that.
It felt like it. Whereas
the funny thing is that Relic at that time, they'd done Company of Heroes 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Which took a lot of, I mean, both of those took material from the Dawn of Wars that preceded them to make them what they were, the cracking World War II RTSs.
Yeah.
And then 3 just felt really weird. But then it was a weird time in development because I think that was when THQ were kind of coming towards the end of their lifetime and all the series were kind of feeling the pinch a bit.
Yeah. Do you think it was like the directors and stuff? Was it a different director or was it the same kind of team that
I'm
worked
not
on
sure,
but
it's even got a different art style because what's his name? Gabriel Angelos. He looks completely different in this one to how he did in the previous 2.
Yeah, he's monstrous, but not in a heroic space marine kind of way. He's monstrous, looking more like an ogre, like misshapen. Everything's more cartoon comic booky. I think someone went, "Hey, you know what's popular? League of Legends."
Yeah.
And they went, "Let's do that." And it's like, "Oh, no, don't follow the trends. It's never a good idea to follow the trends."
It wasn't. But it's really weird because Space Marine 1 came from Relic as well.
Yeah. It was really good. Well,
yeah, I mean, Space Marine.
It's a really good B tier title. It's like an amazing 7 out of 10 game.
Yes,
it's really
I was going to say it because I think it was Rock Paper Shotgun did a really good article years ago referencing Space Marine 1, in fact, as the main point because they were going over it prior to the the special edition getting released on Steam, and just gone on the fact that we really don't get that sort of game anymore. Not for AAA games, not for 5-star going to win all the awards, but those games that they're like a solid 6 to 8 out of 10. They're not going to shatter your world, but you're going to enjoy them. You might come back from time to time just because you enjoyed the experience, and they're not long either. You can burn through them in a couple of sessions or maybe in just one. And you might even just return to one mission from time again and again because you've really enjoyed it that much.
You've not felt like an idiot for purchasing it.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, there's games which are, I hate to say trash, but there are games which unfortunately come out and they are terrible.
Yeah.
Andy has a list.
Yeah. For all the efforts of the devs, they come out and they just don't work. And there's many reasons we can think of why that is, but it happens. But then you get that sweet spot of games that they're good enough, they're fun, they're entertaining, they're not going to light the charts up. They're probably only going to make their development costs back, if that. But they'll endure, you know. They're the games that when you talk to people, you might say, "Oh, I've been playing this," and someone will go, "Hey, I played that. I loved that game back in the day."
Yeah, me and you have kind of already talked about this in private, Big D, and we've kind of
Yeah.
agreed that like indie titles are that game, or that
Yeah.
like they fill that void now. Because I'd say I've never played it, but from what I've seen, Slime Rancher, we just go around and happily farm different slimes on this very happy, bright, colorful world. That kind of fills that void. Again, that's not gonna. You're not gonna go, oh my god, I can't wait for Slime Rancher. You're gonna go, oh yeah, I had fun collecting those little happy balls of slime. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. The wins. Let's face it. Last year as well has been not AAA titles, but slightly smaller titles, just running rings around most of the big releases.
True.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? Was it that version of online poker, Balatro, that's been doing great guns in the last few
What
months?
now? Balatro.
Yeah, it's poker, but with all these. I think it's poker, but with all these different rules added in. Like there are like multiple jokers you can draw, which all do different weird shit.
Oh, it's kind of so it's poker, like you say, but then it's like weird, kind of kooky rules to make it a strange, more interesting game. Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't play something like that because I don't care for poker, but I like the idea of kind of mixing it up. That's always a nice idea, I suppose.
I mean, it's one of those games that it's got quite a bit of Steam Twitch integration built into it, so viewers can kind of like
make life easier for the Twitch streamer, obviously.
Oh, that's
optimistic.
That's optimistic of you.
No. The chat's always really kind in these situations. They're great. Love them.
Yeah. Vampire Survivors is another good example.
That's a great example. Like Vampire Survivors is not really a great game, but there's this weird X factor it has, and the fact is, like, what it was, £2, £3.
I mean, for the money it costs and the entertainment you can get out, even without buying any of the expansions for it or the DLCs, it's just like, wow, this is.
Have you played that, Mr. White? Have you played Vampire Survivor?
No, I don't think so.
I think you'd enjoy it because it's just got that. There's not a huge amount to it, but it's very kind of engaging. It kind of sucks you in really easily.
Well, that's the thing as well with this, because like some of the stuff you guys have been playing as well, like Helldivers as well. It's not the most complex in terms of its lore and it's all of this, but it's a really fun. There's that mixture of a bit of horror, a bit of action, bit of random, and there's definitely tension when you guys are being surrounded as well, and like it's building up and getting towards the end, and you're desperately trying not to die just before the end. And I'm hoping that Space Marine 2 is going to have that element. It's going to have that element of fun, so that when you jump on and do your loop or whatever it is, or your game or your verses, that you're going to get that. My concern at the moment, I don't know what you guys think, but like we're watching this trailer. It's a lovely trailer. There's obviously we've seen great trailers before for lots of stuff, and then it doesn't deliver. So what do you at the moment? And of course, this has already been delayed once. So what are your thoughts about this at the moment? Are you optimistic, or are you like this could be just another?
Compared to what we saw a year ago, I am a lot more enthusiastic now than I was, because I will admit, when it was first announced, I didn't have any issues with them announcing it, but the videos they showed looked a little like, is this really how it's going to? Because there wasn't really any gameplay, not really. It was the same sort. It looked very pre-rendered in places.
Yeah.
Well, I would say not pre-rendered. I think scripted. They look like big scripted sequences that would not change no matter what you did for the most part.
What we're seeing in this they're describing as well, method from what we can see from this, because it feels more like a complete product that they're bringing to the market. It just looks like it's got more to it.
Okay. What would this need to do though? I mean, because I said to you guys just before this as well. Like, what's the, I don't know, silver bullet or whatever it is. What's the thing that it needs to have on release date that will make it a must-have buy for you? Is it the assurance that the game actually runs and you can get on the server? Is it that basic? No, seriously, because let's face it, of experiences that everyone's had, and again, there's like you hear about people buying a game and then they can't play it for a couple of days because the server's But
Yeah.
what's the point? They've spent their money. You know, is that the important thing, or is it more the case of, right, I know they've got these factions. I know even if I can't play the game straight away, I can go in and just fiddle around with kit or gear or customization. What is it for you guys?
Well, I mean, the fact it's not multiplayer only, it's campaign first and everything,
Yeah.
and then multiplayer. Well, the co-op and the multiplayer is a separate element in its own right, as ever is kind of key. If so long as you can access that campaign on day one, I mean, that's kind of like the bare minimum. But Space Marine, what kind of kept that game going was the online multiplayer component, because people did come back to it over and over again. People got really hyped for it. They got really into it, and it formed quite not a massive community, but there was a solid community in place for it who enjoyed what they were doing. And if, from what they've shown off in this video and how they've described how it works, it should kind of bring in a lot of that same community, as long as they can access things.
Okay.
But
so, for me, I think having the game work is like Big D said, it's prerequisite. It has to work day one. I'd be a bit annoyed if it didn't have, co-op and multiplayer on day one as well, since it's been advertised. I mean, in this trailer specifically, it doesn't say that there's going to be any delay. And granted, there's no reason to think that there'll be any kind of delay between releases. But you look at Halo Infinite, and how did the co-op story mode work with that? Is that out? Yeah, is it still not out? No, it's out now, right?
I'm not sure, actually.
I think it is. I think it took like a year for it to be released, though. But that's because whoever's doing 343. Yeah, they've not been handling Halo desperately well over the years. But yeah, I want this to work. I'm mildly concerned about how the story is going to turn out, looking at who the writer is and what the previous work they've done is.
Who's the
writer? What's the name? Ashley Cooper. The only thing I can find upon them is they worked on Gotham Knights. Which was crap. And not just because the game was bad, but because the story was also pretty terrible as well.
Were they the sole writer on that one, or
there's not a huge amount of information, but it seems like Ashley Cooper's the senior writer at the moment. So that's concerning. Maybe it'll turn out great. I don't know, but you see Gotham Knights and you go, oh.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, I'm
it's not Suicide Squad, at least. I don't think so.
I mean, I am encouraged slightly by the fact that GW devoted a pretty chunky White Dwarf article to explaining Titus's history and how where he is now and at the start of this game, which is.
It feels like they've got more skin in the game, not just in terms of. I mean, look, they sold a license. They do that. They are not above selling a game license now and again. Is GW, but it feels like they genuinely care about how the reputation of this is going to feed back to them.
Yeah,
they've been promoting this one quite hard, and you can tell this is more of a AAA game than the previous one, just by. How much, like, if you look at it, it looks like a AAA game, and it's getting the advertising push of a AAA game. The first game didn't get this kind of push.
No. But I mean, the fact that the first game got that collector's edition, that special edition release, which was fairly hyped up when they did do that, but it came a decade after the game launched. After the studio, the publisher was gone and the studio was part of Sega. So the fact that it came back, it didn't come back, but they kind of gave it a fresh lick of paint. And then this one does feel much more like they want it to kind of at least match the quality of the first one and people's expectations from the first one. So I'm tentatively encouraged by that.
What are what's your wish list of extra goodies for this game? If you
what are we talking about extra goodies?
Right, it could be a customization option that you haven't seen yet. It could be a troop option. It could be a game mode, or it could even be some extra character that you would like to see pop up. What would kind of like tickle your fancy above and beyond what you're expecting from this game?
I think they've shown everything that there's going to be in there. Unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be anything that surprises me. I think if there is any new content, it will be DLC related. If you want to play, I think I was surprised in this trailer or the previous trailer when they were talking about multiplayer that it seems like it's going to give you enough options to play as all different kinds of Chaos Space Marine factions. I thought that was very surprising, but I guess they're going to probably, from the way that the multiplayer looks, it looks like that's not going to be cosmetic. That's going to be class based. So you'll have your Death Guard player class, you'll have your Khorne Berserker class, and then you'll have editing options to change their armor and stuff on top of that, which is fine. So I'm not sure if we saw everything. I assume there's going to be maybe 1,000 Suns Sorcerer magic wielder in there. Maybe that's hoping for too much because that's not in the base game. And if you have magic, you probably want a Space Marine Librarian. So maybe that'll come down later in the line. I'm not sure. We were told, or it was leaked ages ago, that much like the first game, the Tyranids are not the main villains of the story, and I won't say who it is just in case those who don't know. But it seems like it's going to follow a similar kind of path that the first game took, where the Orcs were the main villains, and then oh no, it's a shifty Chaos Man at the end,
which is kind of hilarious given how the Nids are.
Sorry,
I'm interested to see how they weave in that. Any kind of manipulation will be used for the Tyranids, because they're not the easiest things to corral. Orcs are fairly easy to corral. You just say fight here, send a Space Hulk, and Bob's your uncle. You've got a wah, easy pie.
You can't exactly whistle like a dog for a few Tyranids.
No.
The weird thing is that anyone who looks carefully at this gameplay will certainly see another faction.
Yeah. The thing is, the Nids don't necessarily need to be manipulated. It could just be a case of they've invaded this system, Ultramarines have arrived, and it also happens there were some other parties involved as well in the background who are now going, oh crap, now we've got to fight Marines as well as Tyranids. Which would be a much more fun way of doing things, I think.
I tell you what would be a nice surprise
in the one area as a la Dawn of War. It's like, there are some Necrons here as well. Sorry,
I'll tell you what would be a nice surprise that they could introduce in this, but haven't shown it. Gene Stealer cults. I don't think they're going to be in this, but it would. You don't even need a lot of them. You just need one or two people with guns shooting.
We haven't actually seen Gene Stealers at all.
No, that's a good point. I don't think we have.
Yeah. Although I tell you, for one thing, I would love to see in this game. I highly doubt we will see it in this initial launch, but at some point I'd love them to add it. I'd love them to add Terminator armor.
Yes. Oh, as a class, that'd be neat. Yeah,
or as a loadout option for Titus in special missions. Say you and his two buddies go into a Space Hulk, and it's like, oh, by the way, you're going to need this. Opens the vaults.
Oh, you mean like a DLC extra story mission thing we do there?
Well, they've said there's a season pass.
And I'm always kind of iffy. What do you mean is season pass?
Yeah. But I mean, most of the GW games recently that have had season passes, I'm basically going off Rogue Trader to be fair, have had that's been for story content.
And
given how this game they've got the thing where you go back to the battle barge and you can select missions and which planets you're going to, and your loadout in the main game, not just in the multiplayer.
Yeah,
that suggests to me it would probably be fairly easy to bolt additional missions, environments, campaigns into the game to do that. It's just, and Terminator armor is one of those things where it's iconic. They've brought it back and they haven't actually changed it really, other than making it bigger for the tabletop game. So now there's no reason they couldn't have titers and just be told, yeah, suit up, not that suit. Go and get this one.
Yeah, I could see that being a possibility, but I think assuming that the season pass is just going to be story stuff I don't think that would be the case.
Yeah.
I think they'll definitely. This is a problem with saying there's a season pass coming and not stating what the season pass is actually going to look like. Even if you're going to say like the first thing is going to be something story related, the next one is going to be multiplayer ish related, because I'm sure the season pass will have some sort of multiplayer
a roadmap would be nice.
Yeah, whether it's just like something new for the multiplayer or if it's just cosmetic for the multiplayer, I don't think it's going to just be purely story. Just because like Road Trader, that's purely a story game. So obviously the season pass is only going to be related to that in some form or another. Because this is that weird split of like it's primarily a first player only game, but it's also got this multiplayer aspect. Because the first game, the only DLC was for the multiplayer. That's all they had.
Yeah.
It was cosmetic stuff, and then there was the Dreadnought DLC, right? That was it?
Yeah, that was it. And I remember at the time that did rub a few people the wrong way because it wasn't cheap DLC either.
No, it was expensive, and it wasn't worth it.
No.
It's like the Dreadnought missions that and it split the fan base as well. For some people that didn't have it couldn't play with the people that did. It was I don't think they'd make that mistake. I would hope at this point.
But things have moved on quite a bit as well in terms of how these things are rolled out. So even though mistakes are made still, for most part, well, the player base and the developer base have both reached a point where it's a more mature environment, so to speak, as to how these things are rolled out. So the key thing, as long as people know, then it doesn't tend to be as frustrating.
I mean, I think the worst thing about the stuff we've seen so far is you pre-order and pay for the special Uber edition and you get it 3 days early. I hate that. I think that's always really scummy to basically like stranglehold players, because that to me feels like that's if you don't buy this now and you're a content creator, you're screwed because you're not going to make the money because you're not going to have the game ASAP. Now, obviously, that's not a problem for a lot of people, but it is definitely going to still incentivize people who want the game as soon as possible. It feels scummy. Why not just use those? Just wait 3 days,
Yeah, and it's a tactic that's been rolled out in so many places now. It's just like
it's a recent tactic as well, which is.
However, I'm kind of, at least they've not. Although there's stuff that they've linked as you get it if you buy a particular edition, they've not said that it's exclusive to that edition. You'll still be able to get some stuff separately. You'll just have to, pay for it. So the season pass, but Champions of Macragge or Ultramar pack, they've not said that that's actually an exclusive. It's just that if you buy the super special edition, you get it included.
Oh yeah, I mean the Champions Macragge's just going to be: do you want your Ultramarine to have this helmet or this shoulder pad? It's like, do you want to buy the cosmetics?
But it's not like with but the upcoming Star Wars game where they're actually
they're hiding stuff behind a paywall.
Yeah, there's at least one mission chain that you can only access if you have those editions, and that's kind of. That is bullshit, but it's also Ubisoft, so
yeah.
Well, let's face it as well. They know they have to get the 40K fandom, which is much larger than when. Well, no, I wouldn't say much larger, but maybe more vocal and more visible in the public eye than when Space Marine 1 came out. If they get them on side with this, then the 40K fans are going to do a lot of the hype for them. And other people are obviously interested because 40K has a far wider reach nowadays. I mean, the golden bullet for me will be is if Saber just pay Henry Cavill whatever to do him a 5-minute stream of him just playing the game and going, oh, I'm loving it, and that's it. And it doesn't matter if he never turns up on online again. That will do really well for the game because news agencies will carry it.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. I wonder how much that would cost, though. I think that would be that'd be a lot of marketing budget. I would imagine it'd be a good call.
I don't know. No, I tell you what. Give him a couple of statues.
I was 100% thinking the same thing. It's like, we'll reduce the price. We'll give you a statue.
Just send him one for special edition box sets for doing for it, and they'll
Yeah,
probably do it.
I was thinking more like, you know how in game studios they have life-size versions of like the guys that they're working on.
Yeah.
I was thinking, it's like, would you want a life-size Tyranid warrior? It's like, there you go. You just put him in your living room.
He's got a kid on for you now. It'd be something to put in the kid's room.
Yeah, exactly. The Emperor protects.
Listen, guys, we're going to keep this short and sweet. But yeah, any final words on this before?
Okay, couple of things about atmosphere, because I think it's safe to say this is nailing the atmosphere, and I love some of the lore stuff they got in there.
Yep.
So the captain he's talking to is actually a named character in the Ultramarines now. It's Captain Asheran, who took over from Cato Sicarius, leading the second company after, and then Sicarius was the captain who took over after Titus went missing. Quotation marks. But Asheran's first depiction on the tabletop was in the old Shadow Spear box that brought all the Phobos Marines to the table.
Yeah.
And how he looks in this game, beard, bionic eye piece, cloak over one shoulder, that is the model. That's 100%. That's the Phobos Captain mini.
Cool.
And it's painted exactly like he looks in the game, which is kind of cool. And you know, I know some people will probably complain about the game featuring minorities, but yeah, it's a 4K universe. There are black people, and there are Scotsmen.
Oh, that's the worst.
To be honest, I like to. Well, look, the Fluffenhammer. No one's gonna. That's the thing about the fluff. No one gives a crap about that. And the fact is that I think it works perfectly well. It's just integration as you would expect in the far future. I love the fact that your main concern is that they've got a Scotsman. That could be a problem.
They made the captain. He's ginger and he's a Scot.
I think because the Ultramarines are so, at least in my eyes, generic-y, that they probably should have everyone. I don't want white people in the White Scars, ironically, due to the name. I want it just to be Mongolian or like Asian-looking people. That's it, nothing else. I don't want any white people in the Salamanders either.
Yeah. See, there's big conversations to be had about this, which at some point we'll probably do. Because
I will pencil that in. That's a good one.
Because there's some really good conversations. Some people really need to hear, to be honest, because I get really annoyed at some parts of not just the GW fan base, but other fan bases as well, that get a little bit, oh no, you can't have this in my fantasy universe. It's like,
don't
shut up.
Yeah. Now, the reason I'm cutting it short is unique as well, because I know Andy's actually going to be streaming tonight.
Yeah. I'm going to be streaming the DLC for Elden Ring.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, that'll not be stressful.
So, first, give us your thoughts on this and summing up, and then after that, you can tell us a bit about your channel and where you can find you.
Oh, just generic thoughts on Space Marine 2.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it. Tentative as ever. I hope the story's good. The gameplay looks really interesting. Mildly concerned about how you're gonna, if multiple parrying is gonna be necessary, because you can parry and there's a lot of troops on screen. How manageable is that going to be? It's surprising how nice this game looks. I hope for the best for it. And like I say, tentatively looking forward. You can find me if you want to on Decade Andy. Decade is in Rotten Corpse rather than 10-year period. YouTube and Twitch, and also do the Moonbase 2 podcast, which you can throw that into Google and you'll find it. Talk about Transformers, all that good stuff.
The only two things I'll say on this, the first thing is I noticed that you can kick people quite powerfully off surfaces and into the blue yonder. I hope that is an option that people use. People watching this again, it's towards the end of the trailer. You will see somebody yeet a Tyrannid off with his food. It is really comical. It's a great laugh. And if you can do that to other Space Marines, I think it'll be fantastic. And also as well, I hope that they have, because I know that different games have different community style areas. Some limit it to just your team, your squad. But I love the idea that you might be able to go to a central area and see maybe 30, 40, 50 other characters wandering around in their different unique Space Marine. I think that would be such a cool thing for a 40k fan to do.
I could see them doing that for the hub area, for the multiplayer area exclusively, because they have said that like after each mission you go back up to the battle barge, and that's going to be your hub area. So maybe there'll be a sectioned off place where it's like, well, that's the multiplayer section, and here are the multiplayer people who are being generated in that world at the same time. That'd be nice, like you say.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite. I have seen quite a few people kind of losing their minds over the customization options that have been shown as being available, but also a few people have been quite piffy about how, it's fun that I'm getting a third-person action game with my 50 quid army painting app.
You know, people like Gruff would be annoyed that it's like, I can't green stuff it though, can
I? I really hope those people never find out about Warframe. 2%
Oh, God.
game, 98% all about the look. Anyway, Jen, thank you so much for joining me. Folks listening, if you like this sort of chat, just a bit of banter, a bit of chat, nothing crazy, come over to the Fluffenhammer. We're always welcome to chat to you, and there's lots and lots of articles that pop up. Again, Andy and others do gaming streams, and yeah, there's all sorts of fun that we cover. That's it for me.
I was going to say, join the Fluffenhammer group on Facebook, then just ask. The invites for the Discord go up quite often. If you haven't got one,
it's a secret club.
Yes, just ping us an invite. We're all up for a natter over here. We do a few different things. We got a monthly watch-along film club that's always entertaining for what we roll up.
And the Fluffenhammer Inquisitors will, check your history and make sure you're worthy and virtuous enough to join the Discord.
And of all the things that I can do, the one thing I can never do properly, as I've said to Big D before, is end a podcast. So thank you everyone for listening in, watching in, and we hope to speak to you soon. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Every man lives, not every man truly dies.